बीजापूरगदेक्षकर्मकुरजाब्जक्राब्जपाशोत्फला प्रियग्रस्वपिशानरत्नकलशैः प्रोद्यत्करां भोरुवहा धेयो वल्लभया सपद्मकरया आश्लिष्टोज्ज्वलद्भूषया विश्वोत्पत्तिविपत्तिसंस्थिकरो विघ्नेश इष्टार्धदा श्रीनाथादिगुरुत्रयं गणपतिं पीठत्रयं भैरवम् सिद्धौघं वटकत्रयं पदयुगं धूतीक्रमं मण्डलं वीरान्ध्यष्टचतुष्कषष्टिनवकं वीरावळी पञ्चकम् श्रीमन्मालनिमन्त्रराजसहितं वन्दे गुरोर्मण्डलम् माधर्मे मधुखैटभग्निमहिषः प्राणापहारोद्यमे हेला निर्मितधूम्रलोचनपदे हे चण्डमुण्डार्दिने निःशेषे कृतरक्तबीजदनुजे नित्ये निशुम्भपहे शुम्भध्वंसनि संहरा सुदुरितं दुर्गे नमस्ते म्बिके. Welcome all of you for this another session on the Srividya theories. Day before yesterday, we Kamakshi. Day before yesterday, we looked into the details of finally I finished with the three kinds of bhavas that exist, correct? You understood the three kinds of bhavas, and no matter whatever acharas we are going to follow, the bhava is very essential in the seeker, in the sadhaka. When I spoke about the bhava, like one thing we must make it very clear is like of course we wanted the highest level of bhava to be emanated within us, but if we are actually with the pashu bhava, like most of us, we are in the pashu bhava, we should not like feel guilt about it. You understand what I'm trying to say? Like as they say in Tamil, தாகம் எடுக்கிறவனுக்கு தான் தண்ணியோட அருமை தெரியும். When we are in trouble, we know the trouble, then we are in despair, actually. Unfortunately, at that point of time, we can't do anything. We need help, actually, and at the time of help, at the time of an extreme situation, if because I was thinking about this, what I told you all in the class, and I was constantly I was contemplating that night, actually. Like, I mean, when there is a difficulty, definitely we seek the help of the divine. There is no doubt about it. There is nothing wrong. We must understand that. But unnecessary placing of demands or throwing our apprehensions on the divine is what we are supposed to, bring a kind of the difference in our understanding. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. When you're totally, you are helpless. Like, I was connecting this with interestingly with Srimad Bhagavatam, not Devi Bhagavatam, but Bhagavatam. In that, I do not know, most of you would have heard about Gajendra Moksham, actually. Gajendra Moksham. And in the Gajendra Moksham, it was at the final stage, Gajendra actually lifts his tusk and calls for the help of the divine, actually. Narayana Akila Guru Bhagavan Namaste. That is what is the very celebrated verse that we find from the Gajendra Moksha, because Gajendra was not able to do anything, was caught by the crocodile, actually, in the water. Gajendra, I'm talking about an elephant, you know, and Bhagavan comes in, Mahavishnu comes in, and and then it proceeds in those dimensions. A true upasaka, a true sadhaka will never, even when there is testing times are there, like, will be very steadfast. And also, a true upasaka is always safeguarded by the divine, actually. With my experience, I would say this, actually. So don't worry about the bhava. We progress from one bhava to the other as we progress in the sadhana, which is very essential for us to understand. Today, let us examine another profound section from the Srividya Kosha, which explores the dispositions of the practitioners and the tantric approaches, which is directly related to the structure of Sri Chakra, and also it talks about the distinctions between the Dakshinachara, Vamachara, and the Mishrachara traditions. And this concept is something very central to all the philosophies, and it's a very attractive concept in today's times, which is nothing but the doctrine of the Kundalini Shakti, actually. What is this Kundalini, actually? And, we are all very much fascinated with this Kundalini Shakti, and I happen to see this the recent movie. I do not know how many of you watch movies, actually. Like, I watched this movie, which is Raja Saab of Prabhas, and there they show this concept of the seven chakras, the Kundalini Shakti, and though I couldn't watch in one go, I watched it like kind of in couple of installments. I did, actually, and yesterday it was the finale where they were like talking about, the one who reaches the Sahasrara is equal to the divine, actually. Concept was nice, and they made it, like, of course, it was cinematic in nature, but I was very fascinated in a way that in a movie of a mainstream hero, you know, they are talking about these concepts, actually: seven chakras, Kundalini Shakti, Durgamma, and I mean, gods were always invoked in various places, including the cinema. But the Kundalini and seven chakras and all was really fascinating. And I kind of realized how it is deeply connected in today's society, actually. How far the knowledge has disseminated, actually. The knowledge dissemination about seven chakras, the Kundalini Shakti, and the Ida, Pingala, Sushumna nadis, and so many things, which was once upon a time, it was a highly secretive, understanding, practices, and even the names people were not knowing. The understanding was not there. And thanks to the internet revolution, thanks to a lot of teachers, they have taught us, given the ideas. Everybody, I'm not saying that it is not accessible for everybody. Definitely, everybody should have access to Kundalini and the knowledge and everything, because the entire emancipation of human life is actually to get dwelled into these dimensions, actually. But of course, like in everything, as far as the world is concerned, there is good, there is genuine and versus the fake. We always keep debating with this, correct or not? There are fake doctors are there are very genuine doctors are there. There are very um, fake gurus are there, genuine gurus are there. Like, the fake versus the genuine is always a debate, actually. Similarly, knowledge is also the same, actually, the fake versus genuine knowledge. And Kundalini Shakti also comes into that dimension, that there's a lot of fascination about it, but the right knowledge, the right practices are always kind of very difficult to understand. And in Srividya theories, as far as the fundamentals are concerned, what is Kundalini Shakti? Let me try to explain to you. As far as the Kundalini Shakti is concerned, there are very different ideas that are given for the Kundalini Shakti. And the only central theme of Kundalini Shakti, the Kundalini Shakti to get activated or to be, it has to rise through the various seven chakras and everything, is one single thing. Thematic understanding is very important according to the Srividya traditions and theories, which is Purascharana, the concept of Purascharana, actually. Okay. And what is Purascharana? According to the Rudra Yamla text, it prescribes three kinds of dispositions which must be practiced by the sadhaka across three different times in the day, the three kala, during the morning, afternoon, and the evening, actually. And and as I told you, you remember when we spoke about the bhava, we mentioned that, from morning till noon, one is having a lot of animalistic instincts, and from noon to the evening, there is a lot of valorous thoughts. Viryam is more, and then and from evening to night, there is a lot of divine disposition is there. You understand? So, like, this Purasharana works during the different times of the day in different ways, it seems actually. And this arrangement is emphasizing on the ideology of the Kundalini, because which is fundamental to the Shakta outlook, as I'm saying, because when we talk about the Pashu Bhava or the Virya Bhava, it is marked by the awakening of the Kundalini or the Kundalini Prabodha within the practitioner. And when we move further into the understanding of what is this Kundalini and Purasharana, because I haven't even defined what is Purasharana. I'm slowly going there actually. Let us try to understand the concept much more from the from the broader tantric perspective, like from the major Shakta Tantra literatures like Rudrayamla Tantra, Parashurama Kalpa Sutras, Vijnana Bhairava Kalpa Sutras. What they say is that the divine and the cosmic energy, which is Shakti based, is approached through three distinctive yet complementary practices. Okay, three distinctive and complementary practices. The first is the mantra energy. The first is the mantra and energy. What it is, the mystical and the potent formula given by the teacher, by the guru during initiation. And this mantra, which is energy, is nothing but the very body of the goddess, actually. Mantratmika Shariranyai Namo Namaha, actually. So the mantra which the guru gives as Upadesham is actually the guru is giving Devi herself, actually. That is the energy. So mantra is the first thing. Second, the Kundalini as energy. First is the mantra as energy. The second is the Kundalini as energy. That is the vital and the psychic current which within one's own body, regarded as the individualized form of the goddess. In other words, this mantra as an energy which was given by the teacher is actually the medicine which will activate the Kundalini which is there in the seeker, actually. That is the reason it is Shabdam, actually. They are Shabdam. Shabdam will go and pierce, as you do that mantra japam as given by the guru, it will go and pierce that Kundalini, actually, which is in a solid form. And then it becomes what? It becomes in a state of liquid and it flows, actually. You understand what I'm trying to say? Something is frozen and you apply heat, what happens? The ghee is in a frozen state. What we do when we keep the heat, what happens? The ghee will melt, correct? You understand? I'm putting in a very simple sense. So this mantra is the heat, actually, which will actually what? Which will make the Kundalini to move from its dispositions, actually. And the third is the representation of the goddess in the yantra. That is, the first one was mantra energy, the second one was Kundalini energy. The third is the yantra energy. So, the guru is giving the mantra, the teacher is giving the mantra is getting practiced. Okay, the mantra is getting practiced. And that mantra is kind of stored in a particular space by the practitioner, and that space is that 2D dimension or the 3D dimension structure, which is called as the Sri Yantra or the Mahameru, actually. I was thinking about this to how to explain, and I was praying to Mahavarahi today in the morning when I was doing this, when I was reading this. And I went inside the kitchen to fetch water. And I saw the water filter functioning, actually. So what is the water filter doing, students? The aqua guard or whatever the filter that we have. Normal water is going, I mean, the tap water, the underground water or whatever water is getting into it. And what it is doing, it is bringing out all the residues, the salt and everything. It is, it is filtering and it is giving us the pure water. Yes. So what is this water filter basically? It is an instrument which is taking water and giving the same water back to us. Water is the same, but the element within the water is not the same. Before it goes is different and what comes out is different. Correct or not, actually? So the same concept is applied here, students. The mantra given by the guru is in the purest of the purest form, but as when it is practiced by the practitioner is some combination of karma, desires, pashubhava, and everything. So the mantra will work here and there. So that mantra needs to be channelized. The mantra needs to go in a particular flow. So what happens? That mantra gets inside that Sri Yantra, which the practitioner is having, which is being given by the Guru. And that mantra, as given by the Guru, will reflect on the Sri Yantra and it will get back into the practitioner, actually, just like what the water filter will do. Are you able to follow what I'm trying to say? You are sending the mantra with all the vasanas, if I have to put it simply. What the Sri Yantra is doing, it is purifying it and giving the mantra back to you in its purest of the purest form. Are you able to follow it? The same mantra, same water, but it is not the same. But the same mantra, when given by the Guru, practiced, and it's what is called as the end output result of it, actually. Are you getting it, what I'm trying to say? So that's the reason. But we need to understand one thing here. Though it looks very simple that water is getting inside the water filter and water is coming out, okay. But there is a mechanization that is involved in it, actually. Yes, there is a physics or there is a science that is involved in it. And when we learn that science, we know, okay, this is the way the water is getting purified. So similarly, the teacher will teach as the progress is there in the students, the teacher will teach the nuances of the Sri Yantra, actually, making him or her to understand how it is purifying, actually. And anything, even the water filter has energy and it has certain life period, actually. Correct? We have to change the water filter after a time, actually. Correct or not? Here, what we will do, we will keep energizing that Sri Yantra within the ritual logic so that it also keeps energizing with the cosmic balance, actually, because it is going on taking the what to say, it is taking all the residues from the practitioner, right? From the individual practitioner. Are you able to follow? So, what is happening in our Mahavidyalayas, Sri Yantra, which all belongs to all of you, it is constantly taking all the residues and it's giving all the vibrations in the purest of the purest forms, actually, to each one of you. So that is at the samashti. And from there, you might go to the individualized levels where you have your own personalized Sri Yantras, actually, where you get it energized, the nuances of, worshipping. And then this transmission that happens, actually, this, what we saw, the mantra energy transmissions and the Kundalini energy transmission and the Yantra energy transmission. So what is happening? The Kundalini, through this process of the filtering of, the filtering process, what happens? The Kundalini starts to arise within the practitioner, actually, very systematically. Are you able to follow what I'm trying to say? Is it making sense to each one of you? So a Sri Yantra is not something fancy thing, actually. You understand? A Sri Yantra, definitely it has fascination, no doubt about it. It is not simply an object of worship, let me tell you. It is beyond that, actually. It has a very personalized space with the practitioner, actually. And after a stage, it is said that this body, which is also a yantra, which is a machine, the Sri Yantra is also that same mechanization is there. You are going on worshipping. I'm putting the word worshipping because in the fundamental stages, we are talking in the fundamental stage. So I'm talking in terms of worship. In other words, the approach towards the Sri Yantra constantly through these various practices as you get to learn from the teacher, what happens? That Sri Yantra which we are worshipping will be no different from the Sri Yantra of what you are actually. You yourself realize that you are that Sri Yantra, you are that Yantram, where in the mid of the in the mid of the yantra is Lalita Tripura Sundari is there. That realization is what? Aham Tattvamasi. Aham Brahmasmi. You shred the limited idea of what you are, and you fundamentally gain the ultimate ideology of the Srividya theory, which is what? Swatantram, actually. You realize how you are free and you are not this limited individual with your identity. You are that Sri Yantra in itself, actually, which is nothing but the entire cosmos in itself. You are no different from the cosmos. You are a part of the cosmos. You are the cosmos. Everything is one and the same, actually. So each of these approaches, from whether you take mantra, whether you take the Kundalini, whether you take the yantra, each of these approaches, these three forms, the goddess is working in Stula, Sukshma, and Karana Shariram, actually. The goddess is working on these three dimensions. Actually, as we have the three kinds of bodies, she is also having those three kinds of bodies, and she is working on these three aspects of bodies. And this three aspects coming together is what is the understanding, the fundamental understanding of what is Kundalini Shakti is all about, actually. Or it is it is more of a graphic form, actually. We have various diagrammatic representations of Kundalini Shakti, and it is, or a murti, we have Devi in the form of an iconography. Various iconographies are there, or we have various mandalas. Sri Yantra is not the only mandala we have different mandalas. The Dasha Mahavidyas, each of the Mahavidya have a yantra. For example, we saw Bhuvneshwari Yantra. We spoke in detail about the Bhuvneshwari Yantra in the Dashmahavidya session. So, the meaning of the mantra and the symbolism and the transcendental value, that is the para and apara. You remember the para and the apara, the terms actually, the para and the apara is having a direct identity of the worshipper with the deity, actually, with the deity. So, therefore, the role of the mantra is central to all the divisions in Agama, actually. What does it mean? Mantra is the foundation to worship any Devata, students. And mantra is the foundation to worship any Devata means the mantras have bija, correct? And bijas are having Shakti, correct? And Shakti is connecting both the cosmic and the microscope and the macroscope identities, actually. The tangible versus the intangible, actually. So therefore, the Shaiva Agama is a distinction that made that mantra and vidya are separate in nature, actually. There is this understanding is there in the Shaiva Agama. In the Shakta Tantras, mantras include the vidya, and signifies a conjunct presence of Shiva and Shakti, actually. And Shiva and Shakti. This is very detailed way it is explained in a text called as the Brahma Yamala Tantra, which talks about how mantra and vidya goes hand in hand, actually, and how it is signifying within the goddess's tradition, particularly. The body, as I mentioned, is regarded as an yantra in itself, and in which mantra can be infused, symbolizing the presence of the goddess. And alternatively, we even understand the fact that the individual psyche, that is the chitta, is yantra, and the expression vak is mantra. Together, they mobilize the psychic energy within the individual, actually. Now you understand the terminologies chitta, I hope, because we have spoken about these words. So, therefore, coming back, in the Shakta philosophical framework, the transcendental reality is undifferentiated existence, awareness, and bliss. That is the Satchidanandam, the Satchidananda Vibhava, which transforms itself into Parashakti, which not transforms, rather, which has its identity with Parashakti, is when it comes down to this world with attributes or with personality, it is called as Saguna Brahmam or Saguna Parameshwari. So from this emerges, from the Saguna Parameshwara or Saguna Parameshwari, emerges the transcendental nucleus, the Parabindu, which gives rise to the immanent nucleus. What is transcendental nucleus? That which is beyond the conceptual understanding. And the immanent nucleus is which is localized and present, actually. And what is a nucleus, basically? A nucleus is in the biological sense, and the nucleus is the foundation for life or consciousness to come into existence, actually. I'm using these terms from Sri Guru Amritanatha Saraswati because that he was a scientist, and he has spoken so many things in scientific language. So I'm just adopting his exact ways of putting it across. So therefore, this immanent nucleus, as we are understanding, the localized nucleus, the nuclei which is present in each of the jivas present within this cosmic world, is either apara bindu or the karya bindu, that is the primordial sound, or the karya bindu. Either they are differentiated as that, or it is the primordial sound, that is nada, and the primeval seed, that is bija. That is the way this entire Kundalini is coming into an existence in each one of us. Though that Kundalini is one single entity, students, please understand. We all of us have that one single entity. It is the same, but it is present in each one of us, actually. You understand what I'm trying to say? So either one of us will also realize that Kundalini Shakti, then we will realize we are all the same, actually. We are not different from each other. We are different from each other only through the Nama, Veda, Tattvam. Our names and forms are only different, but we are all the same. You remember the concept of Panditaha Samadarshinaha, which I spoke in the class? Panditaha Samadarshinaha. Yes or no? Some of you look totally blank. Oh my goodness. What is Panditaha Samadarshinaha? Write the answer in the chat box. Let's see. Exactly. Seeing same soul in all, looking at everybody equally. Seeing, recognizing all souls are the same. Correct. Absolutely correct. And if you apply the same concept to the Jyotirlingas, what it is actually. You remember I spoke on the Mahashivratri day, the Jyotirlinga. The one who has reached the levels of this knowledge that Panditaha Samadarshinaha, who can see all the souls as same. Please explain the parts as how mantra bija are present in the Kundalini. Oh my goodness. Okay, Saurabh. The Jyotirlinga will not look like the phallic structure. It will look like Jyoti Swarupam for them actually, because they have realized souls. You remember what I told you? It will look like Jyoti glowing there actually. It will not look like a Shiva Lingam to them actually. Seeing Jyoti in Linga, correct? Please explain how mantra bija is present in the Kundalini. Did we go there actually? We are slowly going there. You will be able to understand as I'm explaining. Saurav and others, those who have just raised this question, there is somebody, I don't know your name. I'm sorry. I will finish off the lecture. And if you people still have doubt, we can go through this lecture as many times as possible. I'll try to take in different dimensions because I understand this is not that simple to understand the concepts of, these are very intense concepts, though I'm talking in a very fundamental sense, but we do need understanding. So if you don't have the required, like after my class, if you don't still understand, after reading the notes of today's class, if you still don't understand, we can repeat this class. Even for one person who is very sincere, and I understand that the person is very sincere, we can go through with this class in a very different dimension. Let's continue this further. So therefore, the did you all understood through emoji? Can you just make me give me this idea that you have understood the difference between the transcendental nucleus versus the immanent nucleus that I'm talking about? You know, it's one single entity and it is coming as immanent nucleus in all of us. And from there, it is the apara bindu or the karya bindu, and then the primordial sound, the nada, and the primeval seed, the bija is coming into existence. Oh, great. Even if you have not understood this, you hold on, you'll let's see how the thought process is going further. So the primordial sound, Shabda Shakti is present in all the things as awareness, and in human beings as Kundalini. The Shabda Shakti is present as awareness in all the beings, but in humans, it is present as Kundalini. In humans, this sound is the transcendental speech, which is paravak. The transcendental speech, which is paravak. And located where? In the Mooladharam. In the Mooladharam. And this paravak, when it rises from Mooladhara to Swadhisthana, it is called as Pashyanti. It is called as Pashyanti. These are all the words in Lalita Sahasranamam, if you know. These are all having, by Devi's grace, after the graduation ceremony, I will give detailed lecture on Lalita Sahasranamam verse by verse, actually, after the graduation ceremony. Because we have so much to learn, I've been already working on the February calendar, and I feel like 2 classes are not enough, actually. But anyway, we're just going to have 2 classes, don't worry. Continue with that. I might reduce the theory classes. We might have a lot of learning classes further because you have to learn a lot of things for the graduation ceremony. So I'm trying to balance. The calendar will be out in another 1 or 2 days, the February month calendar. So moving further. Rising to Swadhisthana, it becomes what? Pashyanti. At the heart, Anahata, it becomes Madhyama. That is, at the Anahata, it becomes Madhyama. In the Vishuddhi, it becomes Vaikari. It becomes Vaikari. It becomes Vaikari. The transcendental sound in the Mooladhara is just like a lightning, students. If we have to put it in a description, it is like a lightning and this is the Adhara Chakra. And here, including our Sri Guru Amritanatha Saraswati Guruji has very clearly mentioned that here the Kundalini is actually manifesting as a young girl, actually, like a Kumari, whose indistant speech is the Paravak, whose indistant speech is Paravak. That's the reason if you see, like Guruji will keep saying Bala Tripurasundari, he will keep mentioning Bala Tripurasundari. Bala came and told this, Bala asked me to do this. If you'd have read certain writings about Guruji, because for Guruji, it is in a very high state, actually. You understand? So the Paravak, and as the energy rises by the Swadhisthana, and as the sun and the sun above and sorry and Swadhisthana and above Anahata, this young girl will mature into an adult woman, actually adult lady, that is Yosha. She's called as Yosha. The immanent spiritual energy also manifests as the 51 letters of the Sanskrit alphabet. The immanent spiritual energy also manifests as the 51 letters within the Sanskrit. Panchashad Varna Rupinyai Namaha. Panchashad Varna Rupinyai Namaha. The vowels, that is matrikas, are the nature of the Shakti, and the consonants, Varnas, are that of the Shiva. The union of the two is illustrated by the seed syllable, which is called as the Bijaksharas. It's called as the Bijaksharas. The union of the two, that is the Matrikas and the Varnas together, it is called as the Bijaksharas. And these Bijaksharas are technically, in a very common term, they are known as what? Guess what? Write the answer. Correct, Meenakshi Amma. What it is called? Somebody give me the answer in writing. It's a one word. Correct. Smart students. It is technically called as mantras in a very common language. Okay? So the Nirvana Tantra further exposits that the 51 letters are collectively known as goddess Malini, with 51 attendant deities as her energies. And the Jayadratha Yamala mentions that the mantra is so called, it helps in what is called as, um, in the manana, basically. It helps us to, makes us to remember who we are actually. Like in classic, in movies, they will show once the heroine will get up from the trance, the first question she asks is, "Main kaun hu?" Who am I? Correct? So that is the answer which we are all looking for. Who am I actually? So this answer, mantra will give this answer to us, it seems, because we have forgotten it. And the mantra will give the answer who we are. So all the text, the Kularnava, the Rudrayamala, like the Parashurama Kalpasutra, they all very clearly say that there is no distinction between the mantra and Devi herself or any of the Devata whom we are going to do Upasana. The Bijas are the divine and the potent energies of the Devatas. By doing the Japam, the presence of the deity is secured. The power of the mantra depends on being given by the power of the mantra depends on being given by the teacher. And the teacher competency is also very important. The teacher, how competent the teacher is actually. And if not given by the guru and we are simply going to do the mantra japa, it is not going to work. It is futile. Just like the water is being filtered by the aqua guard and you just drink the water, you will never understand the process as how the water is getting purified. The sadhaka must regard the teacher, the mantra, and devata as one and the same. The sadhaka must regard the teacher, the mantra, and the devata as one and the same. That's what Parashurama Kalpasutra is saying. And all these process, whatever I spoke now, you remember initially when I introduced the term what is called as Kundalini, I gave one another term. What is the term actually? Are you looking to the notes? What is the word I gave you? Bindu. Today. Correct, Raghava. Very good. Purascharanam. So the sum totality of all this practice, all these compositions, all the elements that I spoke is called as Purasharanam. That is, the practice of Purasharana requires continuous and systematic way of reciting this mantra to unfold this concept that we just understood actually. A repetitive way of doing the mantra as guided by the Guru. And Purasharana technically involves 5 components. Purasharana involves 5 components. What are they? Puja, Japa, Tarpana, Homa, and Brahmana Bhukti. That is what Shastram is saying. Brahmana Bhukti here means Brahmanan here means the one who has been trained in the not really charity, Sri Ram Challappa. It does involve one component of charity, but it is like involving people who have involved in this practice and doing this practice and bringing them and giving them bhojanam along with some charity and seeking their blessings actually. Brahma, those who are in the path of Brahma Jnanam or Brahmanas actually, basically. So we have to involve those kind of people and we have to give them what is called as bhojanam. Got it? So the main function of the mantra is protection. And its auxiliaries are Kavacham, Astram, Varma, and Hridaya. And mantra sadhana continues until the Devata Darshanam or specific benefits arises actually. Though the mantra, each of the mantra is need to be done based on the syllable they have actually. Like for example, Navakshari has 9 letters. So generally they will say you have to do Navalaksha mantra japam. But that is in Satya Yuga actually, not in Kali Yuga and all. Kali Yuga, you have to continuously keep doing the mantra japam. So mantra japam is to be done for Devata Darshanam, Devata Sambhashanam. You have the Divya Darshanam of the Divya Dampati, Parvati, Parameshwara, or Parashakti. That is the idea. And this is where, we enter what is called as the actual understanding of Kundalini. What it is actually? This Kundalini is in to invoke that Kundalini only, we have to do this Purasharanam process, students, according to the Srividya traditions or in the Tantra traditions. You understand? And based on the guidance of the teacher, the Purasharanam is practiced actually. So Kundalini is a supreme spiritual power, as I told you, residing in the individual's Mooladhara as a coiled serpent. As a coiled serpent. As long as that Kumari, that is she, that she is sleeping, the individual remains outward oriented, functioning at the level of Pashu. But the moment the Kumari awakens, one becomes inward oriented. One becomes inward oriented. Therefore, the Kumari's awakening is called Pitambara Vidya. The Kumari's awakening is called as Pitambara Vidya. And she ascends, she raises by breaking 3 important knots: the Brahma Granthi, the Rudra Granthi, and the Vishnu Granthi. All these names are Sahasranamam. You would have heard it. I've also explained it, I guess, in the foundations. We did spoke about these things here and there. So these Granthis are there in the Kundalini Dwara. Burning through the 6 lotuses, the 6 chakras, and reaching the Sahasrara, where Parvati and Parameshwara are there. Or within the Srividya understanding, this Kumari is what is Shakti, and that Shakti is reaching Shiva, and their union is called as the goal of Kundalini Yoga. They coming together is technically called as Kundalini Yoga in Shastram. In today's times, there are so many things people are saying as Kundalini Yoga, but we don't know what they are actually doing in the name of Kundalini Yoga. But this is the idea of Kundalini Yoga, that Kumari, she's piercing through the 6 lotuses and reaching the Sahasra, and she meets Shiva there actually. And the central channel in which this Kundalini Shakti travels is called as the Sushumna, and it has 2 other features which is called as the Ida and Pingala. The 6 chakras are Mooladhara, which is the earth element, Swadhisthana, which is the fire element, Manipura, which is the water element, Anahata, which is the air element, Vishuddhi, which is the sky element, and Agnya, it is between the two eyebrows, which is culminating into what is called as the Sahasrara. This structure is mirrored, which is very important for you all to understand, is mirrored in the Sri Chakra, basically. It is mirrored in the Sri Chakra. Within the 9 enclosures and intersecting triangles representing Shiva and Shakti, the Bindu is the unmanifest goddess. The triangle are her aspect, that is the Tripura. The triangles are called as Tripura. The triangle her manifest, which is called as the Tripura. And there are 3 sampradayas, which is very important in understanding this according to the traditions. One is the Kashmira Sampradayam, which is the Dakshina Marga. The second one is the Gauda Sampradayam, which is the Vama Marga. And the third one is the Kerala Sampradaya, which is the Mishra Marga. Kerala Sampradayam, which is the Mishra Marga. That is, Dakshina Sampradayam is more of Vedic affiliated. Gauda Sampradayam has Buddhist influence. Gauda Sampradayam has Buddhist influence, and Kerala is a mixture of many aspects. Bhaskaracharya, the king of Srividya Upasana, the founding guru, if we have to put it across in that way, explains that the Vama keeps the Ishtadevata as the center in the Upasana. In the Vamachara, the Ishtadevata is kept in the central place of the Upasana. In the Dakshinachara tradition, all deities are worshipped equally. All the deities, but specifically the Panchamurtis, are worshipped equally. Dakshina is Satvika in nature, Vama is Rajasika, and Mishra is Tamasika in nature. In the Lalita Sahasranama Bhashya, Bhaskaracharya very clearly identifies the Dakshina with Samayachara tradition, Vama with Kalachara, and Mishra following the text of the Chandrakala. Though many of the traditions, they favor Dakshinachara traditions as pure and symbolic, texts like Kularnava and Shakti Sangama Tantra praises the Vamachara traditions also. But all the traditions have equal importance, students. There is no doubt about it. All the traditions, all the acharas, if I have to put it in that way, because now you understand the term achara, all the acharas have equal importance. Vamacharam is basically commanded for more of material benefits, wealth, happiness, and success and safety. That is what is the idea that they give. But actually, the one who truly practices, Vamachara gets quick results, but it all depends upon the sadhaka, whether they want quick results or quick results in terms of material benefits or spiritual benefits, actually. Same with the Kalachara tradition is also the same. Actually, Kalacharam is also the same ideas. It goes with the lines of Vamachara. While Dakshinachara, it is purely and purely meant for the spiritual welfare. That is what is the identity that comes from the Dakshinachara traditions, actually. Thus, the sadhaka will be able to understand and choose the path based on the maturity that he or she will get over the time traveling in this path, actually. Are able to follow what I'm trying to say? Over the time traveling in the path, will be able to go through these various acharas and margas, actually. It is not that you select and you go or something like that. You travel, actually. You travel from one aspect to the other, or you practice one and then you realize the supreme knowledge through there. It depends actually, but any marga, it is the same actually. It all depends upon the teacher. It all depends upon the student, the relationship between the teacher and the student, and how they are progressing together actually, which is very important. So this is the foundation. So Gurudev, do we not choose the path because of the temperament? It is not perhaps about yeah, it is definitely about temperament in a sense, but what Devi will decide, we will understand only eventually when we start traveling in the path actually. Like, I mean, it's a progressive way of going through it actually. All the acharas and the margas actually. While my personal understanding is that in today's times, there is nothing like, like somebody is going to follow Vamacharam, then you will be implied actually in today's times. Honestly, to tell you, like if somebody is going to really practice Vamacharam to that level, or maybe Vamachara secretive societies are still existing. That's what they say actually, but it is like, Dakshinachara, we wanted to go with the Dakshinachara because it is full of sophistication and it is full of safe, it can be practiced. But again, there is a lot of restrictions in the Dakshinachara traditions because it is only meant for a certain people, certain birth and belonging and everything. There are other traditions which have been evolved, and like teachers like our guru who has brought the Srividya traditions to everybody. So at the end of the day, you should be able to realize the philosophy, you should be able to practice the philosophy, and you should be able to see the change in you actually, in every sense. If that is happening, then the progress is happening in a very systematic manner. That's the way it goes. I know that there is a lot of questions that will come in, and hold on with the questions. Write your questions and keep it. As we are progressing, I'll be able to answer these questions maybe in the future actually. So with this is the foundation of the Kundalini, just the foundation. We have to speak more. I'll be continuing to talk on these aspects. I hope this is useful to all of you and you are able to understand. Otherwise, it's not that after dinner, you are just going to simply sleep away in my class and then, like it's like not making any sense or something like that. I hope it's making some sense. We will be sending the notes to you, and please read about all these terminologies that I've given. Plenty of information is available over the internet with all these key terms that I've given, and then you can sum it up. You can even buy some good books, Srividya Kosha by Professor S.K. Ramachandar. They are all very good books are available. Some of the very good books are there. So you can buy some books and also read. And we will continue to look into these theoretical knowledge because I hope this is helping you all, because this is what is very important. So this will help you to go further, deeper into this knowledge. And that Sri Vidya is not just about taking some mantra and doing some, mantra japam, though that is one of the foundation, but you need to sustain to do that mantra japam for your lifetime means you need this knowledge actually. And that is what we are committed here to give you this knowledge. And beautifully, I hope you are all receiving it by the grace of the Guru Mandalam. Thank you so much. Let's do the Mangalam and finish up the session. सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरि नारायणि नमोऽस्तुते जयन्ती मङ्गला काली भद्रकाली कपालिनी दुर्गा क्षमा शिवा धात्री स्वाहा स्वधा नमोऽस्तुते ॐ शान्तिः 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 सर्वं श्रीचण्डी महालक्ष्मी अर्पणमस्तु तथास्तु।